find them in Project Blueberry files.
I was working in the Foreign Technology Division of the Air Technical Intelligence Center at Wright. I was a test pilot in the Flight Test Division there. So my primary duty was in the Air Technical Intelligence Center screening the captured war documents from the former enemies. They were only given information that was purged and sent down to them from upstairs. What they got had a lot of blacked out, censorship blacked out on them. They had to conclude for the public what caused the situation from what was already deleted. They didn't know. You've heard of Dr. James McDowell from the University of Arizona. So we gave him this case that he could go to Wright Field and verify that they went through Wright Field, but they didn't go to Project Blue. He didn't find them in Project Blue files. He asked the question, where are these reports going? I know they're not going to Project Blue Book, but where are they going? So he didn't get his answer. He did cause some consternation in the cabinet, and it was shortly after that, only a few weeks after that he was suicided. He was in an intensive care ward, watched round the clock by nurses, and in the middle of the night, the first night recovering, he disappeared. In hospital slippers, had successfully got in a locked door, into a locked bedroom, got the gun, got back out again, and about 4 miles out in the desert. Tell me that's suicide. That's how he was reported. So, is it suicide, or was he suicided twice? Aliens, where are they? Aliens, where do they come from, and what are they doing here? And the answer is not a simple answer. Betty and Barney Hill, after Marjorie Fisher's examination of the evidence, the astronomical configuration that she saw on the screen might have included reticulum. And the answer is not a simple answer. He said if you don't know where your sun is, what good will it do to show you where we come from?
Welcome to Troubled Minds Radio Network on KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where we sip on some maybe juice and explore the unknown.
This is James Salcedo, host of Salcedo Paranormal, and you're listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network on KUAP Digital Broadcasting.
Some people believe that crystals have spiritual properties and can be used to connect with the ancient civilization of Atlantis. They believe the crystals were once used by the Atlanteans for spiritual healing, meditation, and communication. Some people believe that the crystals can still be used for these purposes today. The Atlantis crystal power myth is the belief that crystals from Atlantis have special powers. This myth is often associated with the idea that Atlantis was a highly advanced civilization that was destroyed by a natural disaster. Some people believe that the crystals from Atlantis survived the disaster and can be used to tap into the power of Atlantis. Have you ever tried? Check out Spirit Magica Crystal Shop and use coupon code Troubled Minds, all one word, for 25% off your first purchase.
Hi, this is Liam Martin of the Exiled Minds Podcast, and you're listening to the network that never stops seeking Troubled Minds Radio, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. Well, hello then. Welcome to the Exiled Minds Podcast with me, Liam Martin. And today, the 24th of October. Well, we're not supposed to do the date, make it timeless and all that. But yeah, today, Exiled Minds Podcast, we're back again. Glad you can join us. And today, we're going to be covering, we're going to be doing featuring a person today, a prominent figure in history. We're going to be looking at the life, works, and some of the inventions that Nikola Tesla came up with. So that's what we're going to look at today. Nikola Tesla, the Violet Magician. So there's a reason why I'm calling him a magician. It's not just a tongue-in-cheek thing. There's a reason why I'm saying violet as well. So join us on an electrifying journey through the life and innovations of one of history's most enigmatic and brilliant minds, Nikola Tesla. In this episode of the Exiled Minds Podcast, we'll delve into the fascinating world of this Serbian scientist who illuminated the 20th century with his revolutionary inventions and unbounded imagination. So let's discover this genius of Tesla together as we travel through the currents of chaos into the realms of the very strange and the very smart as well. So yeah, Nikola Tesla today. That's what we're doing. Exiled Minds Podcast on the 45th episode, I think it is. In page 45. Yeah, 45 I think today, this one. So Nikola Tesla, bringing in a big gun for the 45th episode. A little American Guns and Ammo reference there. But I don't know why, no reason. Just so they give me immigration status, I guess. But anyway. Nikola Tesla. Who is Nikola Tesla? So curiously, when I was growing up, it didn't come up in any kind of history lessons. I never heard of him, so I'd never heard of him until I got to my sort of 30s, I don't think. So, and that's just through looking at stuff, looking at weird things and coming across this guy. So I think he deserves his place in history. I'm going to try and right that little wrong and have a look at Nikola Tesla. I mean, obviously we've got the Tesla motors these days, so he's kind of heard of now, but it's been sort of forgotten in history really. It's not really been stamped enough. So I thought I'd do a show on Tesla. So who was Nikola Tesla? Nikola Tesla was an inventor, an electrical engineer, a mechanical engineer, and a futurist who made significant contributions to the development of alternating current in electrical systems, among many other inventions and innovations. So he's done a lot of stuff. There's a lot to talk about with Tesla. So we'll get straight on with it, and we'll look at this guy, this little spark of genius that he was. And we'll have a look at some of his history then. So starting on, let's get a picture. There we go. Let's get an image of Tesla up here because I forgot to get one up. Nikola. Yeah, instead of looking at my ugly mush, let's get an image of Tesla up on the screen just while I give you this little spiel about him for the video viewers, and you can kind of, because when I talk to people, and when I talk, I like to see the face. I like to know faces. Do you know what I'm saying? You feel a bit more connected, I always think. So yeah, so let's get his face up while we go through this thing. So this guy up here, Nikola Tesla. So little spark of genius that he was, as I said, is in his early life and education. We'll cover this bit first. So early life and education. Nikola Tesla was born July 10th, 1856. And remember, we did Rudolf Steiner last show, Philosophical Society. They were founded, I think that was 1875. So it's this kind of era. I mentioned that because Rudolf Steiner and the Philosophical Society, they were kind of looking at esoteric and occult stuff like magic, quote unquote. And I'm calling this guy magician. Is around, that same sort of time period. Anyway. As it happens. But anyway, Nikola Tesla, born July 10th, 1856, in a village called Smiljan, which is modern-day Croatia now. It's part of the Austrian Empire at the time. He studied electrical engineering at the Technical University of Graz, and later attended the Charles Ferdinand University in Prague. He worked in the United States. So during his time in the United States, Tesla emigrated to the United States in 1884 and began working with Thomas Edison. So I suppose he was like Thomas Edison was suppose talent spotted him and is kind of a benefactor. Okay, so in 1884, Tesla emigrates to America to go and work with Edison. However, they had differing views on electrical systems, with Edison advocating for the direct current and Tesla advocating for alternating current. Tesla's work on AC systems led to the development of the Tesla coil, now famed, the AC electrical distribution system, which is still widely used today. So, inventions and innovations. So, Nikola Tesla held numerous patents, lots for his inventions. He had numerous patents for inventions, including the AC motor, which obviously that's still used today. The transformer, which is a big one. Well, they can be really big. I mean, that's a really big invention. That is, step up and step down transformers. Without them, it's hard to, because we use transformers so we can change the voltage of things, because it's easier to transport things at high voltage, but high voltages is a lot of current. That's what kills you. So you need transformers to change them from low voltages to high voltages and low voltages. Yeah, so that you can have a high-powered, high-voltage power lines, so that it's been sent there fast to your homes, but when it gets to your home, it's not 40,000 volts in the plug. You want it stepped down to a more nominal level, so if there's an accident, you can actually survive. So yeah, that was a really important invention, the transformer. They got the Tesla coil, AC motor, and he conducted pioneering work on wireless communication, wireless transmission of energy. And he's often credited with laying the groundwork for radio technology, which is because the first person radio was being dealt with then and experimented with, and the first person, Marconi, was famously made the first radio transmission across the Atlantic, Britain to America. Marconi did that, gets the history books for that, but it was a redesigning of a Tesla patent, I think, is where he kind of got that from. That's why Tesla kind of gets the credit of it for the sort of radio stuff. So if it weren't for Nikola Tesla, then radio could have been a lot different or come a lot later. So that's definitely worth mentioning, considering this is going to be re-uploaded live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. Yeah, timeless little advert there. Slid that one in. Anyway, shameless little ad. But anyway, so he's got quite a few inventions, and he's got a lot of patents. And he's working with transmitting, wireless communication, but also the transmitting of wireless energy, which is extremely revolutionary. In fact, even today, it's transferring energy wirelessly. We're not really doing that, apart from induction things like your toothbrush charger. That's not got any wires on your toothbrush, has it? Does it through near field, EM field, little coil inside. That's why it kind of sits over a little peg, so it's got a little coil in there. It's like a field coil. You can pick it up through the field, and you get that in motors as well, brushless motors and stuff, I suppose. But wireless transmission of energy. That's a pretty impressive one, which is where we get on to the famous Wardenclyffe Tower. The Wardenclyffe Tower was Tesla's most ambitious project. It was the construction of the Wardenclyffe Tower on Long Island, New York. He wanted to use the tower to transmit electrical power wirelessly across long distance. But the project was never completed due to financial difficulties. So that's the official narrative, what happened with the Wardenclyffe Tower. But famously, it was funded. Its funding for that, the reason it ran into financial difficulties is because people funding it was a famous banking family, which are famous even modern times actually. J.P. Morgan had a bit of a collapse, but yeah, Morgan and Chase had the big famous banking collapse, or 2008 was it? But yeah, so famous banking family, they were funding him, and the story goes that the Wardenclyffe Tower, it was supposed to be, at the time, like I mentioned, Marconi was doing the first wireless radio transmission across the Atlantic. Yeah, that's radio. And Tesla knew how to do that, but he kind of skipped past the idea rather than just, releasing that invention kind of thing and stopping there and getting the credit for it. That's why Marconi gets the credit, because Tesla knew how to do it, but then he's reaching further and trying to see if you could actually transmit electricity to people's homes wirelessly, sort of thing, rather than just a radio signal. So Marconi follows the radio idea and does that, but Tesla building this Wardenclyffe Tower, he wanted to see if you could transmit electricity wirelessly. And the reason his funding got pulled is because it worked, and he managed to transmit electricity wirelessly to power his lab. And he was saying he was drawing it out of the ground or whatever, so straight out of the earth, and there was like this abundant sort of limitless amount of energy that you can pull out of the earth, and then he's transmitted it, say, to his lab to use. So the banking families, the JP Morgan said, how do you put a meter on it? How are you going to charge people for this? If it's like wireless, a bit different to like maybe, it's like you can't, if it's coming out of the ground sort of thing, you're just tapping into something. How do you stop people from getting it for free? It was their concern. And famously, Tesla said, it's free, because they wanted the banking family, the JP Morgan, famously supposed to have said that want to know how to put a meter on it. And he said, oh no, you don't put a meter on it. It's quote unquote free energy. That's where we get the term free energy. Because so that was his biggest sort of most ambitious project, Nikola Tesla, trying to transmit electricity, and say it did work. He did pull it off. And I remember that in reading about this, one of the concerns at the time, one of the reasons for not doing it, for kind of shutting him down, was because they were afraid what impact it would have on other industries. So they were afraid that even just the impact, forget power companies, even just the impact on telegraph poles. Yeah, because it started putting in telegraph poles and power lines for electricity as you transition from oil lights and stuff, and electric's coming into play. They were concerned that could affect the timber industry if you're transmitting it wirelessly, so you won't need the cables on big logs, and it could, really hurt the timber industry. So just little financial considerations for other businesses contributed to getting that Wardenclyffe Tower shut down. Which is a real damn shame in history. It's a big travesty, because we could have had wireless electricity. We could have our free energy. We've got an energy crisis right now. We could potentially have solved this back, like 100 years ago. So, which then gets me wondering if is this a conspiracy in itself? Is this the very reason that Nikola Tesla is kind of missing from history? But anyway, and just speculation. But moving on. So after Wardenclyffe Tower. So Tesla's personal life and legacy. Tesla was known to be an eccentric personality and a lifelong dedication to scientific research. So he was really hardcore, supposed to be a bit eccentric, bit of a showman. Okay. But rightfully so, he could, so he got a lot of inventions, and he was a big thinker. Like I say, that Wardenclyffe Tower is quite ambitious, but he did manage to pull it off in the sort of demonstration, the initial, preliminary results. But he's known to be an eccentric personality and a lifelong dedication to scientific research. And despite his contributions to science, he struggled financially throughout his life. He died on January 7th, 1943 in New York City. And they say that he was broke, he was penniless, sort of thing. So for all his amazing genius and inventions, he didn't really make a lot of money from it. And I think that was one of the things that's sort of notable about Nikola Tesla, is that he wanted the invention, he wanted to just make the wacky stuff and get the ideas out and just experiment and make new discoveries, rather than trying to hunt down the money kind of thing. So it's just, it ends up being a bit of a sad story, to die in poverty when you're such a genius. But he's got recognition though, like I say, and he has got some honours, despite not necessarily perhaps having his place in the history books. He perhaps should have. Tesla's work has been widely recognised and honoured posthumously, meaning like after the fact, later on, people have looked back and gone, yeah, it was pretty cool. Say that the SI unit for magnetic flux density, the Tesla, is named after him. So yeah, magnetic flux density is measured in SI units. So the Tesla, measured in Teslas. And he's celebrated for his contributions to the development of modern electrical systems, his forward-thinking ideas about wireless communication. So yeah, obviously his fame, electrical motors, just about every electrical motor that you get, most of them are AC. That like the original, not really changed much from Tesla's original AC electrical induction motors and stuff. And Tesla's work, he also had a profound impact on the world of science and technologies, particularly in the field of, like, say, electrical engineering. He is considered one of the most important inventors and scientists in history. So some people do recognise him because, like I say, this was such a big influence. And yes, Tesla wasn't taught about at my school. In fact, I never heard of him. Yeah, never heard of him. Just one of them people. Never really got mentioned. But I suppose there is a lot of people you could highlight in history. You know, there's only so much. Maybe certain time periods, certain things are on the curriculum where others aren't. But it just seemed curiously odd. Like I say, I wonder if that's a conspiracy on its own. But anyway, going back to Edison then and Tesla, because they famously had this rivalry then, and they had the AC/DC battle. So I found a bit of a write-up here. So we'll have a look at this. This from, I'll get the pictures up, get me off the screen. Yeah, so the Tesla-Edison rivalry of the ages. This is from Stefano Meroli's blog. It says Life of an Engineer at CERN. So this Stefano Meroli is supposed to be a CERN engineer, by the looks of it, and they've wrote a blog, just outlining the history of Edison and Tesla's kind of rivalry in the AC/DC kind of battle. So from the article, the rivalry between Tesla and Edison is an important part of history that will never be forgotten. Their achievements changed the course of the world, and their legacy lives on in the modern age. In the annals of scientific history, few rivalries have captured the imagination and intrigue quite like the one between Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison. These two iconic inventors, each with their own unique approaches and visions, engaged in a fierce competition that, however, transformed the world of electricity and innovation. So Nikola Tesla is a visionary inventor, like I've mentioned, electrical engineer, real trailblazer, genius, who sparked a revolution in the field of electricity. Okay, best known for, like, say, his AC, alternating current, which laid the foundation for modern electrical power distribution systems, as we mentioned. Tesla's inventive spirit knew no bounds as he explored wireless communication, renewable energies, like I say, quote-unquote free energy, and countless other futuristic ideas ahead of his time. The paths of Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison first crossed in the late 1800s, when Tesla arrived in the United States with his boundless enthusiasm for inventive spirit. Tesla, a young Serbian engineer, saw opportunities to work on his ambitious ideas. Edison, already an established inventor and entrepreneur, recognized Tesla's talent and employed him to work at his company, the Edison Machine Works. It was during Tesla's time working with Edison that the seeds of rivalry were sown. Their differing views on electrical systems and the future innovations became apparent. Edison championed the direct current and the prevailing method of electrical distribution, while Tesla... Sorry, it's a little cough there. Okay, so yeah, Edison is preferring the DC, direct current, the prevailing method for electrical distribution at the time. And Tesla saw the potential of alternating current systems, which offered greater efficiency over longer distances. Edison's firm belief in the superiority of DC, combined with his fear of AC's safety risks, led him to launch a fierce campaign against Tesla's AC technology. Edison He even went to extreme lengths, publicly electrocuting animals in an attempt to discredit the dangers of AC power. Okay, so this is where we get conspiratorial a little bit with this, because Tesla was the victim of a smear campaign, and his AC, let's say we're using alternating current coming out of the, your wall sockets to turn your, plug your TV in and your PC and whatnot. That's alternating current, and the reason that's useful for a household appliance is because if you do get electrocuted, it's going to turn off. Because it's alternating. The alternating is it's on and it's off, on and off all the time. Whereas direct current, it's on all the time. So if you touch something that's direct current, it just stays on. So you'll get cooked, basically. You can't let go because your hand's electrical and kind of make your hand squeeze on it. But where it's alternating current, it'll be on and off. So it'll momentarily electrocute you, yeah, but then it will be off and it will release your hand and your hand will be able to open it and then you just get blown away. So AC is kind of safer for household stuff. But the AC, like I said, it was a smear campaign to make it look bad. And we've mentioned the JP Morgans and banking family pulled his funding for the Wardenclyffe Tower. This smear campaign for the AC motors and AC electrical systems that Tesla came up with, that was also business as well. It wasn't just rivalries with Edison and Nikola Tesla. It wasn't just Thomas Edison and his rivalry and pulling in his mates. He did go out his way to smear him, but there were other business interests that kind of wanted AC to kind of go away, because Tesla had the AC induction motor, which he was using for electric cars, horseless carriage. So Tesla had the first electric cars, and that was a big threat. Like the Wardenclyffe Tower would have been a threat to the timber industry and other things, and energy companies. Okay, this was also a threat to other companies, because if you could have an electric car, especially if you could charge it from straight out of the earth, then the petrol companies, the oil companies, were really worried. And that was the Rockefeller family. They had 90% of America's oil, so they really wanted people to not like the idea of AC and to think it's unsafe, because they didn't want people to start thinking about using AC electric cars instead of the petrol, because they've lost the kerosene market for oil lamps. Now electric lights are coming in, so they need a reason to sell crude oil, need a reason to sell gasoline. So a combustion engine is much preferable over an electric one. You see how that works? So a little bit of rivalry history and business there for you. But anyway, the break's sneaking up on us, so I want to stay tight to the radio clock because eventually I'll be going live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP. So we're going to come in with a quick little bit of a break right about now, and then I'll see you after this short break, just a few minutes, on the Exiled Minds Podcast, talking about Nikola Tesla. Just back in just a moment.
They have a fridge inside them that cools these chips to almost absolute zero, hundreds of times colder than interstellar space. These fridges have a thing called a pulse tube, which emits a sound roughly once per second, which sounds eerily like a heartbeat.
Is that a skull?
So if you stand next to one of these black monoliths,
I found it in the alien city.
they really are impressive.
That's a horrible souvenir.
It feels like an altar to an alien god.
There he is.
Your robot brought us to the worst place yet.
Everybody good? Plenty of slaves for my robot colony?
Humor settings. Fit in better with his unit. Thinks it relaxes us.
A giant, sarcastic robot. A great idea. I have a cue line I can use when I'm cooking, if you like. That'd probably help. Yeah, you can use it to find your way back to the ship after I blow you out the airlock.
Oh, I think your robot's angry.
Do not go gentle into that good night.
Stage 2.
Old age shall burn. Rage close at day.
Not hearing. Choose your own road.
Rage.
Whatever you want.
Rage. It's the dying of the light.
Whatever it is they want you to
No
do.
wise man at their end. No dark is right. Because their words had brought no lightning day. Do not go gentle into
Why
that
would you
good
do
night.
that?
Rage. Rage against the dying of the light.
Look, I'm the rebel choosing to save ourselves. We have a robot, we have an engine, we can go anywhere. Preferably a place where the ground doesn't try to eat you.
You're tuned into Troubled Minds Radio Network on KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where we peer into the future, embrace the power of AI, and delve deep into the conspiracies that shape our world.
Are you looking for a way to connect with your spirituality? Look no further than Spirit Magica Crystal Shop. They have a wide variety of crystals, from amethyst to obsidian and more, including crystal packs, unique deals, and amazing customer service. The products are made with the highest quality materials and are backed by their satisfaction guarantee. Spirit Magica Crystal Shop are committed to helping you find the tools and resources you need to live a magical life. So what are you waiting for? Visit Spirit Magica today. Use coupon code Troubled Minds, all one word, at checkout for 25% off your first purchase.
For many centuries, witchcraft has been considered evil, associated with the devil and all things dark. Let's break these stereotypes with your host, Matt Sau, at the Temple of the Hour. Let's talk about magic of the old ways, explore the many roles of the witch, learn the tools of the craft, the history of the science behind this ancient, earth-based religion on the Troubled Minds Radio Network KUAP Digital Broadcasting. Welcome back to the Exiled Minds Podcast with me, your host, Leah Martin. Thanks for bearing with us for that little break there. Also broadcasting on the Troubled Minds Radio Network KUAP and currently streaming live on Rumble, YouTube and Twitter, X, as we call it now. Artist formerly known as Twitter. Anyway, talking about Nikola Tesla today, the Violet Magician, the Exiled Minds Podcast. So we've been talking about how he got shut down when he was trying to transmit electricity wirelessly. And we talked about how he got a smear campaign against him because he had a rivalry with Thomas Edison. They're working together at first, got a bit of a rivalry coming on. And then Edison went out of his way to do a bit of a smear campaign about the safety of the AC, which also happened to help out the oil industry. Because the oil industry, you know, they'd lost the oil lamp market because electric lights were coming into play, so they needed a reason to sell oil, crude oil. They needed to sell gasoline or something because they were losing kerosene sales. So making gasoline and selling that for the combustion engine was much more preferable than allowing Tesla to promote, you know, an electric car sort of thing. So that was the thing with Tesla. So we could have brought us, quote unquote, free energy and electric cars already. You know, but we've been encouraged to have cars, combustion engines, and are being told that we're really bad for polluting the environment with them. So, can't win, can you? The same people who told you to buy the stuff and make it so that's the only thing you can buy are the same people that told you then you're a bad person. Decades later. And that's a fact, Jack. So, if you don't want me to say it, don't do it. But anyways, yes, the rivalry of Edison and Tesla. We'll move on from that and we'll jump on to, there's an official Tesla Society, actually, so Let's have a look, a quick little look, and see what the actual Tesla Society have got to say. So, from www.teslasociety.com, we've got Tesla Memorial Society, New York, and there's a telephone number here and website, email address. You can contact them. And that's at PO Box 86337, Ridgewood, New York 11386. If you did want to write to the Tesla Memorial Society. But anyway, links will be in the description and all that. So, right then. So for the video viewers, we've got a few images. We've got one of these famous in the Colorado Springs is where the laboratory was. We've got a picture from 1899 where there's just a massive cage, a cylindrical cage, and it's just got electrical bolts coming out of the top of it, just splaying out in all directions, fanning out. Almost looks like angel wings. It's going on one side, one on the other. There's some going up diagonally, some coming down diagonally. Old black and white photo, and they're saying, and he's sat in front of it. It's quite a famous picture. He's sat in front of this, and it says he's seated in front of a magnifying transmitter with 20 million volts of high frequency electricity. So that is a lot of volts, and that was the thing about Tesla and why Edison thought it might be a little bit AC could be a bit dangerous because it's using such high voltage, and it's like, but electric's a bit of a funny thing with that because high voltages, not good, but you can survive high voltages if the current's low. It's the current that kills you, it turns out. It's still kind of figuring it out back then, but yeah, it's not necessarily the voltage that gets you. The current. The difference between the two is kind of difficult to explain. I'm not really sure if I really grasp it myself, but I think the voltage is how frequent the frequency of something. So you might have a lot of electrons, but they're not being pushed very hard. They're not kind of flowing very hard. And I think that's the deal. If they're not flowing too much, you can kind of take it. But if they're coming in with a lot of weight, then you can't. But anyway, so yeah, back onto the TeslaSociety.com. Yeah, so we've got an image of him, the famous one where he's sat in front of 20 million volts of electricity. We've also got the curious case where there was. Let me go back to my script because it was worth writing, And so anyway, yeah. So Tesla Society. So this whole society is about him, and this says memorial places you can go and visit, museum type stuff. But wouldn't you know it? When he's two presidential families, because we're talking banking families, got involved, and all company kind of family, Rockefeller kind of got involved with smear campaigns and kind of pulling his funding. There's also been two presidential families involved with Tesla, wouldn't you know? So let's have a quick look at this then. So from history.com. The mystery of Nikola Tesla's missing files, because when he died and he passed away, they say he was poor, penniless, and didn't really have much for his inventions. All of his paperwork, though, or all of his sort of secret inventions or whatever he was working on then, that all went mysteriously missing. Okay, so from history.com. The mystery of Nikola Tesla's missing files. The FBI has finally declassified its files on Nikola Tesla, but questions remain. This is from history.com. This particular article is by Sarah Pruitt. After Nikola Tesla died in January 1943 in his hotel room in New York, representatives of the U.S. government's Office for Alien Property the U.S. government's Office of Alien Property seized many documents relating to the brilliant and prolific 86-year-old inventor's work. It was the height of the Second World War, and Tesla claimed to have invented a powerful particle beam weapon known as a death ray that could have proved invaluable in an ongoing conflict. So rather than risk Tesla's technology falling into the hands of America's enemies, the government swooped in and took possession of all property and documents in his room at the New York hotel after he passed away. What happened to Tesla's files from there, as well as what exactly was in those files, remains shrouded in mystery and ripe for conspiracy theories, of course. After years of fielding questions about possible cover-ups, the FBI finally declassified the some 250 pages of Tesla-related documents under the Freedom of Information Act 2016. The Bureau followed up 2 additional releases. The latest is from March 2018. But even with the publication of these documents, many questions still remain unanswered, and some of Tesla's files are still missing. 3 weeks after Serbian American inventor's death, an electrical engineer from Massachusetts Institute, from MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, was tasked with evaluating his papers to determine whether they contained any ideas of significant value. According to the declassified document files, Dr. John G. Trump reported that his analysis showed Tesla's efforts to be primarily of speculative, philosophical, and promotional character. So he's saying so that Trump, I highlight that because Dr. John G. Trump, who was tasked with going through Tesla's paperwork, was in fact the uncle of Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, 45th president, actually. I think he was. Yeah, impeached 45, yeah, and it's the 45th show. That's a funny coincidence. I didn't plan that. But yeah, so Dr. John G. Trump did the analysis, and he said it was basically speculative, it's philosophical, and of a promotional character, as in he might be exaggerating to make himself sound good. And said that the papers did not include new, sound, workable principles or methods of realizing such results. So he's saying it was all hot air. But it's interesting that that guy was involved in, Trump was involved in looking through the paperwork, and there was a Bush involved. I think Vannevar Bush was tasked with collecting the stuff up, or I think it was. I've lost the story now. Or one of them was, I think Vannevar Bush was tasked with trying to get a look at his papers. Kept sending him in when he was much younger. So yeah, but for the video viewers, I've got a picture there of John Trump, say related to the former US President Donald Trump. So it's interesting again that not only have we got a banking family and an oil family involved in trying to shut him down, we've had 2 presidential families involved in gathering up his paperwork and analysing it. So he's a curious character. And yeah, there's a bit of a there's a Clinton connection as well. I'll just switch over on the screen there to have a quick look at this article. But yeah, there's a Clinton connection as well. So that would be a Bush, a Trump, and a Clinton, another family, a presidential family. So as unpredictable as the US presidential elections have been, a striking historical side note lies in the connection of the famous Serbian inventor Nikola Tesla. A few days after Tesla died, his possessions were seized by the Office of Alien Properties. Donald Trump's uncle is one looking through it for MIT. But and he dismissed the stuff. But it says, but such official dismissals of significant papers left behind, understandably, did not sit well with many folk throughout the next 73 years, saying, "Oh, it's just a load of rubbish." Right. So it's Donald Trump's uncle that's looking into that. Where is the Clinton coming? Hang on. Let's have a quick search. Because the Clintons coming here somewhere. Here we go. Right. So, John G. Trump's brilliance and his connection with the intellectual history of the country make him, in Trump's view, kind of guarantee that he himself was smart, as mentioned by the Boston Globe. Okay, right. Okay. Where is it? Where's this Clinton link? I've just had it. Here we go. It's unclear in general how much of a place women had in the unmarried Tesla's life, but by all accounts, he was somewhat asexual. Okay, here we go. Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton acknowledges to the crowd at the end of the 4th day of Democratic National Convention. Right. Here's what Tesla said about America that sounds very much like ours. with the first ever nominated female candidate, Hillary Clinton. The struggles of human female towards sexual... Okay, I'm not sure how this links in, to be honest. I'm not sure this Alex links into the Clintons. And do you know what? I feel sick just looking at pictures of Hillary Clinton. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump onto this next bit, because I think I've highlighted well enough that there's been some political interest with Nikola Tesla's work. And the reason I say he was like a magician is because from the famous Arthur C. Clarke quote, any significantly fancy technology is going to seem like magic to people. Okay, so that's why I call Tesla a bit of a magician, because even to some of these really clever people at the time, there's all these rumors surrounding him. Is it because he's really clever? It was really beyond his time. But I say it was the violet magician, as in the color violet, because this is during this time, like say when the Theosophical Society was around, and there's all that kind of like sort of mystical cosmic talk linking magic and science together, and they have this notion of these rays, the violet ray, and then the violet wand, and this is where Tesla gets the violet bit. He becomes the violet magician because he had an invention known as the violet ray tube. Okay, and this was supposed to be a medical invention. Now, whether or not this is legit or whatever, but you can look this up yourself, and you can still buy these things. So, from Wikipedia, the violet ray is one of Tesla's inventions. The violet ray is an antique medical appliance that was used during the 20th century to discharge in electrotherapy. The construction usually featured a disruptive discharge coil with an interrupter to apply a high voltage. So it was high frequency and low current to the human body for therapeutic purposes. So like I mentioned before, Tesla is working with high voltages, but it's the current that kills you. So with a low current, high voltages are cool, and Tesla is using these things to apply directly to your skin. Okay, so what they look like, often the vintage ones come with a big square box, like the whole thing's like one unit. So it's a square box with like a kind of power unit in there, just some basic circuits, to plug into the wall, and then usually got a big dial to turn the voltage up, and that's connected then to a cable with this kind of like almost like a electric toothbrush thing. And this electric toothbrush looking thing, you put different glass implements on different glass instruments in them. So these things are sealed. The glass, the transparent, are sealed, and they've got different shapes, these different tools for different jobs. So when the high voltage of electricity is applied just underneath the glass, it lights up all the air it kind of lights up the gas inside the glass. So all the plasma trapped inside the glass in these hollow implements. I mean, one of them looks like a mushroom. It's shaped like a mushroom. That's like a general applicator. One of them's shaped a bit like a garden rake. And they've all got a little bit of air in when they've been created. So when this thing gets plugged in, it lights up and it ignites all the plasma inside these things. So they glow up, like you've seen those kind of crystal ball type things where you've got a glass bulb and it's electric, like reaching out for the surface of the glass. So when you put your fingers on it, it like connects to you. Those plasma balls, it's that stuff. But they're like inside little tools. So Nikola Tesla introduced the first prototype of the violet ray at the World's Columbian Exposition in 1893. Most of the antique violet rays in the US were produced before the Depression era, and some of the larger US manufacturers of violet rays were Renullify, Fitzgarland and Fisher. And companies who manufactured violet ray devices made many other types of electrical appliances, such as the Star Electric also manufactured the stock ticker machines. Many of the companies who were able to continue manufacturing violet rays after the Depression stopped making them due to World War II, when they began manufacturing radio coils and other electrical components for the war effort instead. So then again, it's almost like politics kind of got in the way again. But yeah. So these violet ray things, I mean, they're a bit crazy. They're a bit crazy to look at, but it's like I say, politics kind of got in the way again. You know, wartime comes along, but that's the only reason they kind of fell out of favor. So maybe these things still work. I mean, I don't know. I've not tried one. I've always fancied one. I like the look of them. You know, they look kind of. I don't whether or not it's snake oil stuff. I don't know. But one thing's for sure, they do look cool, and especially when they glow up. I bet they look wicked at night time, which then gets me thinking they're supposed to give you a bit of a tingling sensation. So it gets me wondering if, you know, and they look cool glowing up at night. I wonder if people use them in the bedroom, if you know what I'm saying, because there's all different kind of applicators and stuff. So, but I think they'd look cool as the decoration as well. Just have one on because it glows up. It'll look like a, you know, they're like the witch's laboratory, like the witch's lab or the mad scientist lab. I think it'll look kind of cool. But anyway, so that's yeah, the violet ray, because he's dealing with high frequency. So let's have a look. Let's quickly go onto a website. Got a bit of a better image of one here for the video viewers, and also got a little bit of a write up here. Because the reason I bring this website up is because this has got one featured one from 1966. So this is like a later one, but they've decided to. But there's this one's Tesla invention. Bearing in mind, this has been seen. Although it's supposed to be quackery, a lot of people think it's snake oil stuff. This particular one has been saved by a museum group, and this it's called, from the website, collection.sciencemuseumgroup.org.uk. They've kept one that was made in England from 1966. Now, 1966 is a prominent year in English history because England won the big Football World Cup in 1966, the only year they've ever won it. But that's sport, isn't it? I don't know if that, just because of the date of 1966 on it, helps to sell it and make them want to have it. But they've decided to curate this, and this is they've got tens of thousands of pieces. They have millions and millions of pounds, collections all over the world, museums all over the world. So at least, you know, at least some collectors are seeing these as being important, you know, significant. So if they're a load of trash, then why bother collecting it? And or is it because they were popular? Were they popular enough to be enough of a fad? I don't know. Were they really that popular? Because I'd not really heard. It's a bit of a niche thing. It's not. I'd never heard of it until, like I say, coming across. Even once I've heard of Tesla, I didn't come across these until later on. So I don't know. And again, more weirdness about Tesla is that it was thought to perhaps, once all this FBI papers and they were investigating him, even while he was still alive, Tesla was thought to perhaps be somehow interrelated with George Van Tassel. And George Van Tassel, who was an alien contactee, supposedly. So Van Tassel was born in Jefferson, Iowa in 1910. He grew up middle-class family. He was supposed to be a UFO contactee. Okay, so links in the description. You look up George Van Tassel. But George Van Tassel was supposedly, like I say, in contact with aliens. But because the government and business and stuff are interested in Tesla and inventions, you know, you might have some super death ray for the war effort and stuff, they're keeping tabs on him. And there was a point where people had suggested that perhaps been a bit of a confusion, thinking that maybe Nikola Tesla was an alien. Because we've been talking about George Van Tassel and it might be related to it, and then, oh no, maybe Tesla's the alien. And so even that came up. There is FBI documents, you know, talking about whether or not Tesla was an alien, maybe from Venus. So, I mean, we're running out of time, so I haven't really got time to kind of get into this. But yeah, if you want to have a read, you can have a look at it. It was George Van Tassel and Daniel Fry. UFO encounters, and Billy Meyer reckons that the Daniel Fry ones are for real. So maybe this bit's all legit, but they've pulled Tesla into it. I think it's a misidentification sort of thing. But that's not to say that Tesla wasn't an alien or somehow in contact in some way, because, you know, the Farsight Institute, I'll quickly put their website on the screen here. But yeah, the Farsight Institute, if you want to follow them, that's at farsight.org. they're the remote viewers that I mention all the time, and they said that they did a project on Nikola Tesla, and they said that he's a kind of a walk-in. He's a regular human, but he's having, I don't know, some other alien beings that are almost like wood elves, the way it describes, projecting into him permanently all the way through his life, feeding him ideas to bring stuff to humanity. So that's what the remote viewers said, and they're the premier remote viewers in the world. So, and you can also see them at farsight.prime, top quality recording stuff there, just like Amazon Prime on Netflix. They've got really good streaming service. They've got a lot of projects on there, so give Farsight a bit of a shout out, because that Tesla project really was very interesting, and they've got some very fascinating projects and some really, really far out projects. Definitely worth recommend Farsight for sure. But anyway, yeah, an hour. It's never enough, is it? An hour. So we're coming to the end of the show here on the Exiled Minds podcast. So we're gonna have to shut this one down again. I often say this. Might have to come and do a part 2 on Nikola Tesla, because there's kind of so much to talk about. But we've got, now I've mentioned Farsight, we've got Farsight coming on the show in November. So I'll let you know ahead of time when it's when the final date's set up. But yeah, they're definitely coming on. Courtney Brown's coming on the show, Dr. Courtney Brown. So that's gonna be brilliant. Been looking forward to talking to him for a long time. So yeah, give them a pre ensemble shout out ahead of time. But anyway, yes, end of the show. So, well, thanks very much for joining us and having a bit of a look into, the genius of Nikola Tesla, so to speak. So yeah, thanks for joining us. Me, your host, Liam Martin, streaming today live on YouTube, on Twitter, X, and on Rumble today. I think it's worked. So Rumble stream. I never done it on Rumble before, so tried for the first time today. So let's hope that kind of worked out okay for us. I'll check it in a minute. Go back. But anyway, yes. Exiled Minds Podcast. Me, your incredibly famous host, Liam Martin, talking about Nikola Tesla, the Violet Magician. So, yeah, links in the description if you want to look this stuff up. And say, thanks very much for joining us on the Exiled Minds Podcast. And, yeah, like, share, and subscribe. Always forget to ask people. Please share it. It's the best way. Just tell people, word of mouth. Best way to get this stuff out and join the conversation as well. Anyway, that's enough from me. Getting on. Exiled Minds Podcast, me, Liam Martin, signing off. You look after yourself, folks, and I'll catch you soon. See you later.
You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio Network on KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where the strange is just another day at the office and the unexplained is our playground.
KUAP Digital Broadcasting, Troubled Minds Radio. You ever feel like being watched? Don't trust the government. Wonder if aliens are real, what's possible and what's not. Will they actually take over the Earth? Do ghosts exist? What about Sasquatch? Curiosity peaked? We've got more. We don't go deep, we go wide, because we're already at skull-crushing depths. Who's the most powerful oligarchy running the world from the shadows? What about these UFO reports? Are they falsified? Are they going to keep giving us nothing burgers over and over and over and over and over and over and over again? We got more. Why is there so much contradictory information about peculiar topics? Is the Illuminati a real thing? What does the New World Order even mean? Come and join the conversation. Let's try and dig. Let's try and find out. Because if we don't do it, we might not get